Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Live Ones. I am Big Matt, your capper extraordinaire, and the chase for baseball season excellence continues with absolutely no brakes on anyone's car. Shohei Ohtani catapulted himself into the esteemed 40-40 club in the absolute grandest of fashions, with a walk-off grand slam in the bottom of the ninth inning to reach 40 home runs for the season and lift the LA Dodgers to a 7-3 victory over the Tampa Bay Rays. There are still 5 weeks left in the season. No one in baseball history has ever gone 45-45. I think that's a lock for Ohtani. I think that might be his benchmark. It's conceivable he inaugurates the 50-50 club and is possibly its only member ever because I can't see anybody doing this again. And all of this while he's rehabbing a torn UCL to avoid a third Tommy John surgery. It's just incredible. New Red Sox catcher Danny Jansen made baseball history for being the first man ever to play for both teams in a single game. So back in late June, the catcher, who was then with the Blue Jays, was playing on the road at Fenway when the game was postponed due to rain and set to restart as part of a split doubleheader later in the season. And at the trade deadline, the Blue Jays traded him to the Red Sox, who just needed any right-handed bat that was available at that point. Well, come last night, the game resumed, and Red Sox manager Alex Cora announced that Jansen would be the starting catcher of the game at its resumption. Making the scenario even more wacky was that Jansen was actually scheduled to lead off in the inning for the Blue Jays in the original game when it was postponed, meaning that as far as the box score of that game is concerned, Jansen came up to the plate, the team executives made a quick phone call, decided to trade him right there and then, and Jansen suddenly had to immediately switch uniforms, put on his catcher's gear, and take the place of the Red Sox catcher. I absolutely love unique historical oddities like that. You watch one day from, like 20 years from now, that's going to be an answer on Jeopardy, and I will know the question. In a story I really hope is not going to play out, UConn is in early talks to join the Big 12. Obviously, the conference wants those sweet basketball dollars, and the Big 12 is definitely the strongest conference in the country. In terms of basketball, with 12 Final Four appearances since 2000 and 2 of the last 4 national championships, everybody seems to want the school to be competitive in football, especially with Jim Morris slumming it at the helm of the program. But it's a bit like trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen. Connecticut has many things, but it's not chock full of football fanatics with deep pockets that can lure prime talent with NIL deals. Even with Mora in his third year of recruiting, their 2024 class has just 13 commits, and only 5 of them even have a star ranking of any kind. A whole different story in basketball, obviously. They're one of the best basketball programs in the country. But I really don't want to see that basketball program, especially as good as it is right now under Dan Hurley, leave the Big East. Think of all those classic rivalries we'd lose out on, the Villanova games, the Georgetown games, now that the program finally realized Patrick Ewing was a 300-pound anchor tied to their ass. But money talks in the NCAA, and I'm sure they'll get this deal done if both sides really want it. We had another winning day, going 2-1 yesterday. We're 4-1 on the week for a plus 3.71 unit return thus far. It's great to be back here. It's week 0 of college football, the sport I wait for all year. We got a mini Super Saturday on tap for you today with that, a full slate of baseball, UFC. Let's get right to it. And we're going to start off with the marquee game for today, the noon kickoff of Florida State and Georgia Tech from Ireland. So much pageantry, so much to talk about, but I want to focus on the fact that this Florida State team, infamously snubbed for the playoffs last year, decided to ruin the Orange Bowl in response. They've lost so much production in the NFL draft. 10 of their starters, including their quarterback, their top 2 wide receivers, their starting running back, their starting tight end, their 2 best defensive linemen, and 3/4 of their secondary. There are blue blood programs like Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia that have the kind of recruiting pipelines to replace those kinds of premium losses every year, that have new 4- and 5-star players ready, chomping at the bit to get on the field. Florida State's not one of them. And it shows in what they did in the transfer portal, bringing in DJU from Oregon State to play in his 3rd offensive system in 5 years, bringing in Marvin Jones Jr. from Georgia, and pretty much every 4-star recruit from Alabama that didn't get drafted. There are going to be growing pains today. There are going to be people who've never worked together, who are used to other systems, and training camp just can't take the place of actual game reps. Add in the factor of traveling to an entirely different continent and all the media pageantry, and I think we're going to see a slow start for both teams with a lot of mistakes being made. I like the first half of this game under 27.5 points today. Second game we're going to look at today is SMU in Nevada. The Wolfpack, they've just never recovered from the shock of Jay Norvell leaving for Colorado State and taking all of his recruits with him. The program suffered 2 seasons as one of the absolute worst Division I programs in the country. Ken Wilson was shown the door after last year. They have Jeff Choate as their coach now in his first gig of any kind at the FBS level. He was formerly the head coach of Montana State, but he hasn't coached anywhere at all since 2019. This is a program with a lot of problems. I certainly wouldn't call them the weakest D1 in the team in the country. You have to remember, Conference USA desperately raided the FCS for whatever programs were willing to join and save their conference from extinction after the AAC took all of their teams, after the Big 12 took all of their teams. So you have a lot of Group of 5 schools who are just getting their bearings, but honestly, I would make a number of the best FCS teams right now, like your South Dakota States, your North Dakota States, your Montanas, the perennial powerhouses. I would make them odds-on favorites against Nevada in a straight-up game right now. Their personnel, both on the field and on the sidelines, is that green. Meanwhile, with SMU, Rhett Lashley is a coach who does not mind running up the score. The Ponies averaged 44.6 points per game with Preston Stone as their quarterback last year. They were top 15 in plays per game last season. This is their first game as a member of the ACC. They're going to make a statement. I'm taking SMU's team total over 41.5 points. I think they hang 50 on Nevada easily. Over to baseball, and a game I like today is the Diamondbacks and the Red Sox. Arizona has been one of the best offenses in baseball lately. They've gotten 7 or more runs in 4 out of their last 5 games. They get to guys early, and they're facing a prime candidate for knocking in runs in the very pedestrian Kirk Crawford, who over his last 5 starts with the Red Sox has been giving up 4.6 runs per game in only 4 2/3 innings per start. I mean, he attacks the zone a lot, which is great if you've got the stuff. If it keeps your pitch count down, it lets you go deep into games, but he gives up a lot of hard contact and, more importantly, a lot of fly balls, which is a really dangerous thing if you're a guy that pitches in Fenway. It's a very hitter-friendly park. Ketel Marte is out today, but I think even without him, the Diamondbacks hit Crawford early and get a bunch of runs across the plate. Zach Gallen's on the mound for the Diamondbacks. It's just not a contest for me between the two starters. Give me the Diamondbacks on the first 5 money line today. The White Sox. Oh my goodness, one of the most pitifully bad Major League Baseball teams to have ever taken the field. Still on pace to lose just enough games to break the 62 Mets record of 120 losses. This is a team that has a combined batting average just north of the Mendoza line. This is a team that has only 2 players in its lineup slugging anywhere near the league average, and they are facing Tariq Skubal, who at this point I consider the favorite to win the AL Cy Young. It's going to be a bad day to be the White Sox, and they've had a lot of those this season, but this is going to be a particularly bad day. Skubal has not only been lights out through his last 10 starts, averaging 1.8 runs per start, but maybe more impressively, he's only giving up 4.3 hits per start, and he goes deep into games. 6 innings is automatic with him. He'll get all the way through 7 a lot of the times as well. The White Sox lineup is hitting 203 combined lifetime off of him. There are 3 members of this lineup who've never once gotten a hit off of him at all. And remember, these are division rivals. They see each other a lot. The Tigers win this one in a walk. I'm taking them on the run line. Tigers minus 1.5 runs today. UFC Fight Night, and the matchup that most intrigues me is the lightweight bout. Should have been a featherweight bout, but one of these guys couldn't cut weight very well. We got Francis Marshall stepping in on 4 days' notice to replace an injured Danny Silva in the prelim fight against Dennis Bazooka. Marshall has lost his last 2 bouts and hasn't fought in over a year since getting unceremoniously TKO'd by Isaac Delgarian. Bazooka is coming off a win over Connor Matthews in March. He's had a full training camp. Marshall also fought against Matthews 2 years ago in the Contender Series, but he could only win a points decision. The books are making Marshall the favorite here. I really don't know why, apart from the tail of the tape stats. Marshall's a pretty well-rounded fighter, but he doesn't fight at a high pace, and he can sometimes let rounds get away from him with his inactivity. And that's something that Bazooka can take advantage of. He loves to push the pace. He loves to come forward looking to take the fight to his opponent. Bazooka has an excellent takedown defense at 72%, and he can keep it a striking match, which is something where he also has the advantage. I think just about everything today is working in Bazooka's favor. And with him at plus 125, I'm picking him to get the dupe. 5th and final pick for today. Everyone bet safe, stay safe. Follow us on X at Live One Sports. Check us out on Roku and Fire TV at the Live Ones. Have yourselves a great Saturday, and I will see you tomorrow.